He didn't trip. He didn't feel dizzy. His legs just gave out. That's how Mr. Walter, a 78-year-old retired carpenter from Houston, ended up sitting on the cold concrete of his backyard patio one February morning. No injuries, no broken bones, just a moment of truth. He sat there, looking at his garden hose still running, unable to stand up. When his son finally came outside and helped him up, Walter looked him in the eye and whispered, "I think my legs are giving up on me." For a man who built homes, lifted heavy lumber, and used to play basketball with his grandkids every Sunday, it wasn't the fall that hurt the most. It was what it symbolized. That maybe independence was starting to slip away. Now let me ask you something. Have your legs felt a little slower lately? Less steady when you stand up? Maybe you've noticed you're getting tired faster or that stairs feel just a bit steeper than before. If so, you're not alone. Millions of older adults across America experience gradual leg weakness as they age. But here's the truth most people don't hear enough. It's not just aging. In many cases, it's your body sending an early warning signal. A signal that something is missing, not just in your muscles but deep inside your cells and nerves. And the good news, there's something you can do about it. Because today, we're diving into 8 science-backed vitamins and nutrients that play a powerful role in keeping your legs strong, steady, and pain-free. From preventing falls and leg cramps to improving circulation and joint support, these nutrients can make all the difference in how you walk, move, and live every day. I'll also be sharing real stories from seniors across the country. People just like you who once struggled with shaky legs or painful cramps, and found real relief through simple changes in their nutrition. So whether you love taking walks in the park, dancing in the kitchen, or just want to stay active and independent for years to come, this video is for you. Let's start with one of the most overlooked, yet most essential vitamins your legs need. And chances are you might not be getting enough of it. Let's talk about vitamin D. He fell, not because he tripped, but because his legs simply gave out. The hidden reason, lack of sunlight. That's exactly what happened to Charles, an 81-year-old retired school principal living in upstate New York. After a long, gray winter filled with cloudy skies and icy sidewalks, Charles started noticing something different. His legs felt weaker, stairs took more effort, and one morning while getting out of bed, he simply lost his balance and collapsed onto the floor. No dizziness, no stroke, no heart issue, just legs that weren't doing their job. His daughter took him to the doctor, worried it might be something serious. But the blood test results surprised them both. He was severely deficient in vitamin D. Vitamin D isn't just about strong bones. It plays a critical role in muscle strength, balance, and reflexes, especially in older adults. One of its most important jobs, maintaining type II muscle fibers, the ones responsible for quick reactions, like catching yourself before you fall or adjusting your step when you lose footing. As we age, our skin becomes less efficient at producing vitamin D from sunlight. Add in less outdoor activity and more time spent indoors, and it's easy to see how deficiencies sneak up. And when those type II fibers weaken, your legs don't respond as fast. You may feel unsteady getting out of a chair or hesitant stepping off a curb. According to Harvard Health Publishing, seniors with low vitamin D levels have a 31% higher risk of falling compared to those with adequate levels. He didn't start with expensive treatments or intense physical therapy. He began with simple steps. Each morning, as soon as the weather allowed, he sat outside on his porch for 15-20 minutes, sleeves rolled up, enjoying the sunshine. His doctor also recommended a daily vitamin D3 supplement, adjusted to his deficiency level. Within 6 weeks, his strength improved noticeably. He could lift himself from the couch without hesitation. He even started joining his neighbors for short afternoon walks again. You can drink all the milk in the world, but without vitamin D, your body can't absorb the calcium it needs. And without that calcium, your bones and muscles suffer. More importantly, it's not just about bones. It's about your mobility, your ability to move with confidence, to live without fear of falling. And sometimes, all it takes is stepping into the sunlight and giving your body what it's quietly asking for. Now that we've uncovered the silent role of vitamin D in leg strength, let's look at another essential building block. It's one you've probably heard of all your life, but might be using the wrong way. Let's talk about calcium. Did you know? A broken hip after 70 can steal your independence forever, and calcium might be your best defense. That's not just a scary headline. It's a harsh reality for thousands of older adults every single year. Take Linda, for example. She's a 72-year-old grandmother from Minnesota who loved cooking, gardening, and walking her golden retriever, Daisy. One afternoon, she was simply stepping over the small threshold between her kitchen and living room, something she'd done 1,000 times before. But this time, her foot caught slightly on the edge, and she tumbled sideways. She didn't hit her head. She didn't land hard. But when her family rushed her to the hospital, the X-rays revealed something she didn't expect: a fractured hip. The doctor looked at her scans and gently said, "Linda, your bone density is dangerously low. This didn't happen because of the fall, it happened because your bones weren't strong enough to handle it." That was the moment she realized something had been silently weakening her from the inside out. Calcium is well known for building strong bones, but its role is much more complex than most people realize. It's not just about drinking milk. Your muscles rely on calcium to contract. Your bones need it as a structural foundation, and your body constantly pulls calcium from your bones to support other systems, especially when you're not getting enough from your diet. When calcium levels drop, your bones become brittle and porous. But here's the catch. Too much calcium, especially from supplements, can also backfire. It can lead to kidney stones, constipation, and even calcium deposits in your arteries, raising the risk for heart problems. Calcium can't work alone. It needs vitamin D to be absorbed properly. It needs vitamin K2 to guide it into your bones instead of your arteries. And just as importantly, it needs movement. Yes, even gentle walking or light resistance exercises to stimulate your bones to hold on to that calcium. Without that trifecta, even the best supplement won't do much good. Linda's story didn't end in the hospital. After her recovery, she worked with a nutritionist and made some key changes. She added calcium-rich foods to her meals, like kale, almonds, and sardines. She started doing simple weight-bearing exercises twice a week, and she paired her calcium intake with vitamins D3 and K2. 6 months later, her bone scan showed measurable improvement, and more importantly, she felt confident walking again without fear. Calcium is powerful, but only when it's part of a team. If you're relying on supplements alone and not addressing the full picture, you might be storing calcium where you don't want it, and missing out on the benefits where you need it most. Your bones deserve more than guesswork. They deserve balance, movement, and the right support system. Now that we've talked about your bones, let's shift focus to something just as vital: your nerves. Because even if your bones are strong, your legs can still fail you. If the communication between your brain and your muscles starts to break down, let's talk about vitamin B12. Her legs felt like lead. Doctors thought it was aging until they tested her B12. That was the case for Evelyn, a 74-year-old retired librarian living in Oregon. She wasn't sick. She wasn't in pain, but something didn't feel right. Each morning when she stood up, her legs felt heavy, almost disconnected from her body. She described it as if she were walking on pillows, or that her feet didn't quite reach the ground. It wasn't weakness exactly. It was something stranger, like her brain and her legs weren't speaking the same language anymore. Her doctor originally brushed it off as part of getting older, but Evelyn knew her body and she insisted on digging deeper. Eventually, a simple blood test revealed a surprising result: severe vitamin B12 deficiency. Vitamin B12 plays a key role in neuromuscular function. It helps maintain the protective sheath around your nerves, like insulation around an electrical wire. Without it, nerve signals between your brain and your muscles begin to misfire, or don't fire at all. This can lead to peripheral neuropathy, where sensations become dull, delayed, or distorted. Your legs may feel numb, or tingly, or like they're not fully under your control. Even worse, poor nerve communication can lead to delayed reflexes, poor coordination, and balance issues, putting you at much greater risk of falling. According to the National Institute on Aging, nearly 1 in 5 adults over 65 in the U.S. are B12 deficient, and many don't even know it. 2 things. First, she had been taking acid reflux medication for years, which lowered her stomach acid and impaired her ability to absorb B12 from food. Second, she had quietly shifted to a mostly plant-based diet, good for the heart, but low in B12 unless carefully supplemented. This combination created the perfect storm. Her doctor prescribed high-dose B12 supplements, and within 2 months, the change was dramatic. The heaviness in her legs faded. Her balance improved. She even started walking her dog again without needing to hold the fence rail for support. Not all leg problems are muscle problems. Sometimes, it's your nerves that are out of sync. And while many people assume numbness or unsteady walking is just old age, in truth, it may be a correctable issue, as simple as restoring your B12. Now that we've looked at how your nerves control your legs, let's shift to something that supports your muscles directly, especially when it comes to nighttime cramps and tension that keep you from resting well. Let's talk about magnesium. Night cramps again. It's not just bad luck. It's probably magnesium. If you've ever woken up in the middle of the night with your calf feeling like it's being twisted into a knot, you're not alone. That's exactly what happened to George, a 74-year-old Navy veteran from Ohio. Every night around 2 or 3 a.m., he'd be jolted awake by a stabbing pain in his leg. His calf would seize up like a coiled spring, and the pain would shoot all the way down to his heel. He tried everything. Stretching before bed, rubbing medicated creams, even sleeping with extra pillows, but nothing worked until a nurse at his local VA clinic asked a simple question: have you had your magnesium checked? Magnesium is often called the relaxation mineral, and for good reason. It helps muscles contract and release smoothly. It supports healthy nerve function, and it regulates signals between your brain and your muscles, making sure everything is firing in sync. When you don't have enough magnesium, those signals can go haywire. Your muscles may spasm without warning. Your legs may twitch involuntarily. And your sleep, well, it becomes anything but restful. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, over 68% of Americans do not get enough magnesium from their diets. And the older you are, the more likely that deficiency becomes a daily reality. His doctor recommended magnesium glycinate, a gentle and highly absorbable form of the mineral. Within 3 weeks, the difference was remarkable. The nighttime cramps stopped. He was sleeping through the night again. And most importantly, he felt safe going to bed, without bracing for that painful 3 a.m. wake-up call. Most people don't realize that leg cramps, muscle twitches, or even general restlessness could be nutritional. They think it's age, or circulation, or they reach for painkillers or massage oils, when what their body is really asking for is a mineral. A peaceful night's sleep might start with a handful of pumpkin seeds before dinner, or a spinach salad, or a simple magnesium supplement added to your evening routine. Sometimes, the path to better sleep and stronger legs isn't a mystery, it's a missing piece. Now that we've talked about rest and relaxation, let's turn to something that keeps your energy flowing throughout the day, and keeps your legs from shaking, trembling, or cramping when you need them most. Let's talk about potassium. Standing up should be easy, but if your legs tremble, potassium could be the key. Joan, a 76-year-old widow from Arizona, loved starting her mornings by watering her garden. But over the past few months, something began to change. She'd stand up from her chair on the porch, take a few steps, and then suddenly feel her legs start to tremble, not painfully, but noticeably, almost like her muscles were uncertain whether they wanted to cooperate or not. She described it to her doctor as feeling like she was walking on jelly. At first, she feared the worst. Was it Parkinson's, a circulation problem, something neurological? But the truth was far simpler and far easier to treat. Her blood work showed low potassium levels, a surprisingly common issue in older adults. Potassium helps regulate the flow of electrical signals between nerves and muscles. It works alongside sodium to keep those signals firing at the right pace, allowing muscles to contract and relax smoothly. But when potassium is too low, this balance breaks down. Signals become irregular, muscles get confused, and that's when symptoms like trembling, leg weakness, and even cramping begin to show up. Worse, many older adults unknowingly flush potassium out of their system by taking common medications like diuretics, water pills, which are often prescribed for high blood pressure or heart conditions. And when paired with a diet that's too high in sodium and too low in potassium-rich foods, the imbalance becomes even more severe. Her doctor suggested small, consistent changes. She started eating half a banana with breakfast, added a scoop of black beans to her lunch, and swapped salty snacks for a handful of unsalted almonds. Just 2 weeks later, the trembling began to fade. Her legs felt sturdier, and she could enjoy her quiet garden mornings without fear. Not every leg tremor is a sign of something serious like Parkinson's. Sometimes, it's your body waving a quiet flag, asking for just a bit more of what it's missing. Potassium is essential, but like all things, it requires balance. If you have high blood pressure or kidney issues, it's important to talk to your doctor before increasing your intake. A simple blood test can give you clarity, and a few small dietary tweaks could give you confidence back in your step. Now that we've talked about electrical balance and stability, let's look at a nutrient that acts like a traffic controller for your calcium, making sure it ends up in your bones, not in places it doesn't belong. Let's talk about vitamin K2. You take calcium for your bones, but is it hardening your arteries instead? That's the question that changed everything for Sarah, a 69-year-old retired piano teacher from Illinois. For 3 years, Sarah had been religiously taking calcium and vitamin D supplements, hoping to strengthen her bones and avoid the kind of fractures that had affected so many of her friends. She ate well. She exercised gently. She even remembered to take her pills every night before bed. But one morning, while reaching for a laundry basket, she felt a sudden sharp pain shoot through her hip. The diagnosis: a hairline fracture, despite all that calcium. She was confused, frustrated, and frankly, a little scared. But when she saw a bone health specialist, he asked her something no other doctor had. Are you getting enough vitamin K2? Think of calcium as the bricks your body uses to build strong bones. Vitamin D helps you absorb those bricks from your food or supplements. But vitamin K2 is the construction manager, the one who tells calcium exactly where to go. Without K2, calcium can drift into places it doesn't belong, like your arteries, joints, and soft tissues. This can lead to arterial stiffness, joint pain, and even leg discomfort due to poor circulation. That's why some people who take calcium supplements for years still end up with brittle bones and hardened arteries. K2 activates a special protein called osteocalcin, which binds calcium into the bone matrix. At the same time, it helps prevent calcium from sticking to the walls of your blood vessels. Her doctor added a K2 supplement to her routine, specifically the MK7 form, which stays active in the body longer. She also started eating more K2-rich foods like aged cheese, eggs, and a small spoonful of fermented soybeans, natto, which she admitted took some getting used to. Within a few months, not only did her bone scan improve, but she also noticed that the stiffness in her knees had lessened. She could move more freely, and her legs didn't feel as cold or heavy as they used to. Many people think they're covered because they eat leafy greens full of vitamin K1. And while K1 is great for blood clotting, It doesn't guide calcium. It's K2 that does the heavy lifting for your bones and blood vessels. Taking calcium without vitamin K2 is like building a house without a blueprint. You may have the materials, but they'll end up in all the wrong places. Adding just a small amount of K2, whether through food or supplements, can help ensure that calcium strengthens your skeleton instead of clogging your circulation. And now that we've talked about placing calcium where it belongs, let's explore a vitamin that fuels your muscles, boosts oxygen delivery, and helps your legs feel lighter and more energized every day. Let's talk about vitamin B6. Out of breath just climbing stairs. Maybe it's not your lungs, it's your legs. That's what Ken, a 69-year-old retired mechanic from Colorado, started to wonder. He'd always been active, hiking the foothills near his home, playing catch with his grandkids. But lately, even a short walk up the hill behind his house left him winded and heavy-legged. "It felt like I was dragging sandbags behind me," he said. "My legs weren't in pain, they just felt dead weight." At first, he blamed it on getting older. Maybe he just needed more rest, but deep down, he knew something was off. His doctor ran a few tests, and what they found surprised him. Ken was deficient in vitamin B6. Vitamin B6 plays a crucial role in producing red blood cells, those tiny messengers that carry oxygen from your lungs to your muscles. When you don't have enough B6, your body can't make enough hemoglobin. And without hemoglobin, your muscles don't get the oxygen they need to move, recover, or stay energized. This means even a light walk or a few steps can leave you breathless, tired, or with that all too familiar feeling of heavy legs. According to the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, low B6 levels are directly linked to reduced endurance and muscular performance, especially in older adults. Instead of going straight for supplements, his doctor recommended starting with food. Ken added B6-rich foods to his meals, like roasted chicken, baked sweet potatoes, bananas, and chickpeas. Just a few weeks later, the difference was clear. He could walk longer without needing to stop. Stairs no longer felt like mountains, and that heavy, dragging sensation in his legs, it was gone. Many older adults assume that fatigue means, "I'm just getting old." But often, it's something much more manageable. A simple nutritional gap that's quietly draining your energy day after day. Without oxygen, your muscles are like a car running on fumes. They might still move, but they'll feel sluggish, slow, and unreliable. B6 doesn't just help your legs recover. It helps them perform, adapt, and stay resilient, especially when you're putting in the effort to stay active. Now that we've looked at the vitamin that fuels your muscles from the inside, let's take a moment to explore one final nutrient, a bonus that helps reduce inflammation, improve circulation, and support the joints that carry you through life. Let's talk about omega-3. When knees creak, joints ache, and steps become stiff, omega-3 may be your secret solution. Maria, an 82-year-old grandmother from Northern California, used to love her morning walks along the coastal boardwalk. But over time, her knees started acting up. She'd hear a soft crackle every time she stood, and going downstairs felt like her joints were made of dry, rusted hinges. At first, she thought it was just part of aging, something she had to live with. But after a few checkups, her doctor suggested something surprisingly simple. Try eating more omega-3s. Omega-3 fatty acids are natural anti-inflammatory agents. They help reduce joint swelling, lubricate cartilage, and improve blood flow, especially to the lower limbs. This means less stiffness, better flexibility, and improved mobility, without that grinding feeling many people experience in their knees or hips. Omega-3s also support circulation, which is crucial for delivering oxygen and nutrients to the legs and keeping the tissues healthy. The richest sources of omega-3s include fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines, ground flax seeds and chia seeds, walnuts, high-quality fish oil supplements, if approved by your doctor. She started by adding grilled salmon to her lunch twice a week and sprinkled flax seeds on her morning oatmeal. Within a month, she noticed her knees didn't feel as swollen. She could step more comfortably and walk a little farther without needing to rest. And slowly, her morning strolls along the boardwalk returned, one step at a time. Sometimes smooth. Movement doesn't come from more stretching or more medicine. It comes from giving your joints the right kind of oil. And when that oil comes from real food, the results can be both gentle and powerful. Now that we've explored the 8 powerful nutrients, your legs need to stay strong, balanced, and pain-free. Let's take a moment to reflect on what it all means and how you can start making these small, life-changing shifts today. So here's what we've learned today. Strong legs aren't just about exercise. They're about nourishment, the right kind, the deep kind, the kind that starts at the cellular level and builds outward, quietly, gently, powerfully. From vitamin D, giving your muscles energy from the sun, to calcium and K2, building bones that won't break under pressure, to B12 and B6, keeping your nerves sharp and your muscles oxygenated. And don't forget magnesium, potassium, and omega-3s, the behind-the-scenes heroes that keep your body flowing, resting, and moving smoothly. These aren't just nutrients. They're protectors of your independence, your confidence, and your ability to move through life on your own terms. It's never too late. Even small changes, like 15 minutes in the sun, a bowl of black beans, or a piece of grilled salmon, can start a ripple effect that transforms your energy, your stability, your hope. Maybe you've felt like your legs are slowing down. Maybe you've told yourself, I guess this is just aging. But now you know better. Now you know what your body might be missing. And more importantly, you know what you can do about it. If today's video gave you clarity, encouragement, or even a sense of relief, please don't keep it to yourself. Send it to someone you love, a parent, a spouse, a friend who's been quietly struggling. They deserve to feel strong too. Tell us in the comments, which vitamin are you going to start focusing on today, or what surprised you the most? And of course, hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you never miss a moment of hope, health, and healing. We're here every week with new ways to help you live longer, move better, and feel like yourself again. Because you're not getting older, you're getting wiser and stronger and more in tune with what your body truly needs. Stay well, stay curious, and keep walking forward, one healthy step at a time. We'll see you in the next video.